Lay down your head, sweet elfin child, my child. Lay down your head and slumbers keep, and silently we rise to greet the day of joy. For it's time for the Real People Multi-Game Solitaire Mega Tournament. Last time we left, our guy Aqualad was in deep trouble. If you recall, he was about to fight a giant spider. Let's get up there and see how he fared. Okay, so Aqualad is in Fangorn. If you recall, his starting quest is to do something in Fangorn. What's going on is there's a creeping darkness there, and he's trying to figure out what the creeping darkness is. Well, I think he just found it, because out of the shadows comes this giant spider. And we're just going to play out the battle, because it's going to be so simple. Aqualad basically has 3 choices every turn. This one gives him a bonus if he does a ranged attack the next round, so he's going to do those 2 together. Obviously, so going to do this one. And as for the spiders deck, I just shuffled it up. I looked at the cards. They all seemed kind of equally good. I don't know. The spider's limited by his strength, though, and a lot of his cards have high strength costs. So if a strong card comes up, I'm going to have to pick up his deck and pick, because Curly's not stupid. Alright, here we go. Sweep. This card cannot be canceled. So that's a big attack right there, and that's actually going to take Aqualad out. So the spider gets... No, it's not going to take him out, because he has 2 defense. That was actually good. So he's going to have to lose a card. This one is going to possibly do 5. This one's going to possibly do 7, which would take out the spider, right? The spider is now down to 4. This one does +2 if your opponent plays a ranged card. So that's going to be the one he's going to discard, because that's going to be much less useful. But it would do 4. I don't know. This one does 4 no matter what. This one, yeah, I guess it doesn't really matter which one he does. He might as well do the attack of opportunity. That sounds bigger. Alright, so we're going to turn up. And it's another sweep. That's obviously going to defeat Aqualad. Aqualad kills the spider in the process, though, if that matters to you. So, what became of Aqualad? It wasn't actually too bad for him. He ended up going back to Lothlorien. That's what happens when he gets defeated. He goes to the nearest haven. Not the best haven, but he didn't have anything to lose. He didn't have any items. If he had the boat, he would have lost the boat. So it's maybe good he didn't have the boat. Sauron's ring marker moved up, and he lost the rest of his turn. Not a huge deal. It could have been a lot worse for Aqualad. So hopefully Aqualad, I think he probably learned some sort of lesson from the consequences of his impetuousness. And I think he may be playing the game a little bit more differently now. I mean, he's going to have to be, but maybe not. Maybe he's still going to charge headlong into the fray after a nice vacation. We'll see. Right now it's Scoot's turn. Okay, I'm going to explain what Scoots did during her turn, and you can draw your own conclusions as to her motivation. So she started out at the mouth of the Grey Flood. She moved up here. It was her only choice. To Tharbad, got a favor. Okay, so here she had a choice to make. She could have gone up here where there was, you can already, to Bree, where Gandalf and a favor were sitting. You can see that she did do that. She could have also turned and gone this way and tried to do something down here. What she did was she went up to Bree, of course. That 3 favor was just too pretty, and she actually got 4 favor because of her power. Came back, moved up here to Eregion, and then down to Moria. Moria, she had to have a peril because Moria has spikes on it, and that's what caused these 3 influence markers to be there. Then she went here and got rid of this broken line of King's plot of Sauron, which is good, because if that had been in effect after her turn, because it's Sauron's turn next, this marker here would have jumped 4 spots up to there, which would have been a pretty big jump, and you know, that would really be flying down the line if she hadn't gotten rid of it. So it could be looked at as she acted somewhat selfishly, but really pragmatically, I think. What she did was good for everybody who is heroic. So I got a rule wrong, and I thought I'd just let you know because it would have affected things somewhat earlier in the game. But what can you do? I'm not going to go back and change it. What I had thought, because I just didn't read carefully enough, is that you didn't draw encounter cards if you were forced to draw a peril card during that turn, which was I felt was kind of odd, but I didn't really think much of it. I was thinking about the whole game. Turns out you don't draw encounter cards if you're in a perilous location, so sorry. Alright, Curly's had his turn, and here's a rundown of what happened. So first he had an event. The events are in his favor right now because he doesn't have dominance, so you pick the lower numbers, which help him more. The event let him put 2 monsters here in this region, and that's where he chose. It's also a new age, or stage, I guess, and so that put out a couple more minions. He has this big burly fellow named Gothmog of Gorgoroth, Lieutenant of Sauron, in Mount Grunabad, and he also has the Nazgul. The Nazgul actually moved during this turn. Gothmog stayed stationary, as did the Mouth. Other than that, he's had some movements up here. He put a monster here, perhaps to protect the plot that he has in the Woodland Realm, but he also put favor in the High Pass, or not favor, influence, sorry, in the High Pass as well as the Northern Wastes, which seems a little odd. So he's definitely not been focusing his attention down here. He's protecting this one. Makes sense because the plot he has in Isengard is not much of anything. It's the starting plot. The heroes, for their part, have been talking, which the Sauron player Curly is privy to all their conversations because he has many eyes and ears and birds and whatnot. And they're kind of strategizing, deciding what to do. They figure Aqualad should stay in this region, kind of deal with Fangorn, and maybe get to Isengard if he can, but maybe not right away. Barivor, they're thinking, should go up the water on his boat, and there's something going on, so maybe it should be dealt with, and maybe make his way to the ruins of Angmar. He might actually head this direction. That might be even wiser. And then Scoots, for her part, should go this way, they decided, and try and get this plot in the Woodland Realm. There's mainly just peril defending it, and it's not a large enough amount of influence to actually stop her or to cause her to be in peril. The one problem she's going to run into is the Nazgul, because they're going to be perhaps able to intercept her. We'll see what happens. Let's go ahead and roll for turns. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We'll go first. 3, 4. So Scoots goes first, followed by Aqualad, Mooney the Aqualad, and then Red Tomato. Scoots didn't get very far. She was inhibited by the cards she had in her hand. She had to choose to go via Dol Guldur because she didn't have the right cards to take the safer route. That caused her to become imperiled, which made her feel hopeless. She got corrupted via the peril in Dol Guldur, and so now she feels bad. Or she not really bad, just kind of listless. But that she still can get to the Woodland Realm her next turn in 3 spaces, which is what the hopelessness limits her to. So she's positioned herself to get where she needs to go. So here's what went down. Aqualad and Lothlorien peeked into Fangorn to see what monster was lurking there. He found that it was a warg rider. Looking at his hand, he was like, I can take that, and besides, what else can I do this turn? I could go back and go through Moria, get some peril, try and get some favor, but what would that do exactly? Or I could just sit in Lothlorien and get some more cards for next turn. That's not very much fun if you're playing a game, to spend your turn doing nothing. So he decided to take it on, and it was a very quick battle indeed. So it started off with Curly playing Dark Promises on Aqualad, which made him choose between either being corrupted or being hurt. He chose to get hurt. He had a nice hearty life pool since he came back from the dead. Started the combat off with a fallback, which made it disadvantageous for the Warg Rider to play a melee card on the following turn. The Warg Rider had to play a ranged attack. Aqualad was sitting on this aim shot, which said if their card matched the card of the previous round, which it did, it was a ranged attack, it would do 6 points of damage, which is huge, and that took the Warg Rider out. It's the return of Aqualad. And Aqualad's turn ended with the reception of this card, Redeemed by Grace. As the days passed, the fits of doubt and anger grew less frequent. Thoughts of gratitude and service flooded the hours and left no room for fear. Hope came even when unlooked for, and kindness even when uncalled for. That the third age was drawing to a close was not in doubt, but in the strength of hope and kindness, perhaps the age to follow would not be one of darkness. Aqualad got some favor for defeating his quest, or for discovering the darkness, and Fangorn was actually a giant spider and a Warg Rider. He got some favor from that, and he was able to use that favor to get rid of his weakness. Safe and sound in Lothlorien, Aqualad turns his gaze northward towards Mount Grundabad.